Welcome, craft beer friends, to Season 7, Episode 14 of Tap the Craft Podcast. I am Denny Lewis, coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer, and my favorite Florida man and homebrewer from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Chris McKenzie. How you doing tonight, Chris? And, of course, what is in your glass?
So in my glass tonight, I want to jump into this one now because I kind of showed this off while you were gone.
Oh.
And Bill, I don't know if it's sad that you haven't had a beer in 2021 or not. If you're doing it for a good reason, good for you, pal. If not, get yourself a beer. Okay. So I am drinking. So because I use this nice, lovely DSLR for a camera, I got to make sure it focuses.
Ooh, yeah. Look at you, man. That is nice job.
So a little Hoppin' Frog from Akron, Ohio. Denny, guess where I got this beer?
At your local store?
Yeah, I wish that was the case. But fortunately or unfortunately, it came from Tavor. So,
okay.
Yeah. And I was a little hesitant about this one because this, if you can read on the bottle, 12.4%, barrel aged Fraugeslaus, Swiss style holiday lager. And I was a little hesitant to get it just because of how big it was. And I'm kind of glad I got it, but it's definitely a little on the sweet side. But it's really good. It's going to be a good sipper. It's a little barrel, but a little spicy too. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm doing pretty good today. And it's been a long damn day.
I know. I rolled in home just 30 minutes before I tried to get on with the Zoom call. So, I mean, I'm literally still all hyped up from work and just trying to get here and talk beer and drinking my first beer of the night, which I guess I'll talk about my beer, right?
Yeah. Well, definitely. Let's talk about your beer. And I want to know how you're doing today too.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm a bit tired. I had a rough night sleeping last night just because, you know what? Sunday nights really aren't my thing. Because I know I got to go to work and I try to prioritize my tasks and things that I need to get done. So even when I try to like meditate it all out and just relax and go to sleep, my brain is still ticking in there and I just can't clear it and just get a good night's sleep. And so I didn't really sleep very well, but I'll sleep well tonight because we'll be drinking some beers, having a good time. And I always sleep good after a few beers. But what I'm drinking tonight is from one of my favorite breweries in Washington State, and that's Reuben's Brews. Talk about them all the time. And I did make a trip up to Spokane, Washington last week. It was last week, right? No, it was week before. When we recorded, it was.
No, it was last week.
Was it last week?
We were talking about it on the Fermented Reality Beer Cast.
Yeah, I guess it was actually. Yeah, I guess it was actually the Thursday, the week before. Yeah, because we recorded on Monday, so yeah. So went to Spokane, and when we were coming back, I stopped at a bottle shop and picked up a bunch of beers that some from breweries I hadn't even heard of before, which was nice. And of course, when I saw Reuben's Brews, I had to grab. I grabbed 2 6-packs and a 4-pack of this Reuben's Grunge Crush Hazy IPA. Now, it is indeed hazy because you can't see through it, but it's not over the top hazy. It's actually kind of almost a sessionable hazy as far as the mouthfeel and everything. It's not too heavy or it is smooth, but not overly taxing on your body. There's no lactose in this or anything, as far as I understand. It's using Grungegeist hops, which is nice. But yeah, it's a nice citrusy, lighter hazy IPA. I think this is my last can. I think I've gone through, this is my 4th can, and I've already gone through them all in a week. But yeah, I'll be drinking that. I also have, I'll just show off everything. I've got a 6-pack free of this Cascade Lakes Hop Smash IPA.
Okay.
So I'm drinking some of this to throw in there. And then I got a case of this Paulaner Oktoberfest Marzen. I got it free. So, and I like this beer. And if I get free, this is like an easy drinker, 5.8% Martzen Lager.
Nice.
So that would be my closer after we start recording and getting going. And so what do you got? What else are you drinking? Yeah, just show
What
off all
else
the
is in
stuff.
here? So I've got leftover beers from camping. Okay, so we got a little fat tire in there. And that's going to be one of those. Okay, we're up here now. Let's just go ahead and slowly
you gotta ease it down,
right? And then the last one that I have is from Other Half Brewing. I think they're out of New York.
Yeah, New York. Yeah.
So Other Half Brewing's Greenbacks double dry hopped. And again, green screen ruined it.
Come on, man. It's a green can, I take it. Huh?
It is. And that seems to be the trend with all of my Other Half stuff. Now, you know what the good part is that on the back side of this green screen, it's blue.
Oh. So if you're going to be, doing a lot of green stuff, you can just flip to blue and it'll be fine. But then all the blue stuff will be see-through.
Example. ET would probably not show up so well on the screen. But
yeah. Okay. Well, cool. All right. So, are you? One more thing before we get going. I mean, that said, it was a holiday lager. That fancy beer you're drinking, a 12.4% holiday lager. Now, I know from all my experiences with Doppelbox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Box of lager. Yeah, Doppelbox is that sometimes those big ABV beers can really be hard to drink. Now, is this one have enough flavors and stuff to mask that alcohol sweetness to be able to be a sipper that you'll be able to enjoy, or are you going to have a hard time finishing that 12-ounce bottle?
I'm going to say I'm fortunate that it's only a 12-ounce bottle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's definitely on the sweet side. And as soon as I read Swiss holiday lager, I immediately in my brain started tasting chocolate.
Oh, like Swiss chocolate, hot chocolate.
And I don't know if I'm just, talking myself into it or what, but it definitely has like this chocolatey flavor with maybe some, I don't even know what's in there, but let's see. Yeah, so if you read the description on Untapped, creamy, gently warming Swiss style holiday lager with a malty taste and aroma, low bitterness, a reddish brown color. Fraugeslausch is mellow and soothing, the perfect beer to settle down for a cold winter's nap. Inspired by a man so lively and quick, we knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick.
All right. Well, welcome, Saint Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope it doesn't put Chris to sleep here shortly. And because we don't want Chris to go to sleep, we're going to get the show going, not drag on. So before we get started, though, I always like to let any new listener know what Tap to Craft podcast is all about. We are an educational podcast. We focus around celebrating all things craft beer because we want to assist you, our listener, along in your craft beer journeys and adventures. And you're listening to episode 170, and we are recording on Monday, January 25th, 2021. And in this episode, we are going to discuss the Adambier style, which is a German historic style you probably never heard of, but you might have had one. And it's great that Kirk is listening right now because, as I'll talk about later in the Brew Buzz, but I'll just spoil it right now. Kirk was the one that turned me on to even doing an episode maybe on this style because I thought it was a joke when I saw that he checked into an Adambier. I'm like, come on, did someone make up a beer style and just put it in Untapped? And then I started researching it. And I'm like, no, this is a real beer style. And guess what? I've even had some of these beers that are Adambiers, and I never even knew I had them because it's an obscure, old, historic, ancient German style beer. So, hey, prepare, people. We're going to teach you something new that you may have never heard of before, as well as some great conversation along the way. So, Chris, wait, before we get started, I always want to just give a little shout out to our Patreon supporters because this episode is brought to you in part by our satisfied Patreon supporters like Mike Allen and William Schlimmer, who are both in our Facebook chat right now, watching us live. They are our virtual producers. And of course, Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Tara Carlson, Chad Lamassa, Mark Church, and now Kirk. And now Kirk, if I butcher your last name, I'm going to say Tabor. But if it's wrong, let us know. I hate saying people's names wrong. But that's the way I always say it. So thank you, Kirk, for joining the Patreon group. And if you want to buy us a virtual beer or be a virtual producer or even just give us a toast, you can do that easily by visiting our Patreon page at patreon.com/tapthecraft. But remember, you don't have to. It's only if you want to give, because this show is still free to Facebook, free to download us at your leisure. We're still offering it free, but these are only if you feel inclined to help us out with some of the costs associated with running the podcast.
And Kirk said you nailed it.
Oh, thank you, Kirk. All right. Okay, so let's go into some feedback. And we did have an email from Chad Lamassa. And Chris, you know what? It's a long email. How about you go ahead and start off and read the first 4 paragraphs? I'll read the last 4.
Sure.
Is that good?
I can do that. All right. So an email we got from Chad Lamassa said, just some things I wanted to touch on. In episode 169, you said I must have been on a beer cruise because of the beers I'd been having. That wasn't the case. Every Saturday for the last 2 or 3 months, my wife Cindy and I have been having beer adventures. We've just been brewery hopping, picking an area, mostly in Maryland and mostly an hour or less away, and going to as many breweries as we can. We've gone to almost every brewery in Frederick, Maryland. There are 9, excluding Flying Dog. I'd been there before anyway. All right. One day we went to Idiom, Smoketown, Old Mother, Attaboy, and Steinhardt. We went to Old Mother first, then drove a mile and went to the other 4, which is basically next to each other. On another trip to Frederick, we went to Montecasey, Midnight Run, and Rockwell. On both trips, we went to this amazing Italian restaurant called Cucina Masi. It's a little pricey, but the food is great. Oh, and there's a fantastic record store next to the restaurant that I could spend hours in. On a trip to Mount Airy or the Westminster area, we went to Pipe the Side, which is owned by a former coworker of Cindy's. Then we went back to Flood Zone and then Brewery Fire. On a trip to Montgomery County, we went to True Respite, Brawling Bear, which didn't survive the pandemic. In fact, it was closed, so we didn't get to try any. I love their logo of a bear wearing boxing gloves. They sold their recipes to True Respite, so at least the beers can live on. 7 Locks and Lone Oak Farm, which is a beautiful location.
Keep going, Chris. You're doing a great job.
Okay, thanks. The last 2 weekends we went to, this was the one you even told me about, Chad, Chesapeake, Crooked Crab, Firm, and Jailbreak. We've also been to Frays on another trip to Flood Zone. On our only trip out of state, we went to Purcellville, Virginia, which was about a 90-minute drive. We went to Adroit Theory, which was slightly disappointing. They had basically no merch, and the decor was a little boring. It's all about the environment in which you enjoy your beers, right?
Yeah.
With all the really cool art on their beers, I was expecting a bit more. I do love their beers, though, especially the G.I. Joe Cobra series. Then we went to Belly Love and Bear Chase. We got to Bear Chase after dark, but it's on a mountain, and it's a gorgeous location. I went to head back down there so I can see it in the daylight. Cindy isn't really into beer, but she's been having some sours and ciders. I try to include places that have things she might like, so she's not totally bored. I drive to the places, and she drives home since she's not drinking as much. I've really been enjoying our beer ventures and looking forward to my weekly date with Cindy. It's been so much fun.
Yeah. Loved the email, Chad. And I actually wrote back to Chad and gave some insight on Sarah and I used to do the same thing. We would drive around, or, we'd go actually anywhere we went, we'd always map out and stop at breweries on the way. I don't think we've ever hit 5 in one day. That's quite a haul right there if you do 5 in one day. But we would do this and it was great. Now, it was great when Sarah was able to drink beer with me because we would share in the experience and both enjoy the whole thing. But then when she was unable to drink beer, at least beer with gluten in it, for a while, and she's still not drinking very much beer with gluten in it, it started to become, a bit of of a problem because I was, she was keeping me company and joys, but she was missing out on being able to drink that beer. And it really started to wear on her, where she says, "Hey, you know what? Maybe we don't need to go to
Hmm.
so many breweries on a trip. Let's just focus on maybe one brewery, maybe two, if it's a, longer trip, but not stop at a bunch of breweries." And I appreciate that because I understand. It's hard for me to go and drink when I lost my drinking partner, right?
Yeah.
My best friend, my wife, and my drinking partner all in one, and we still have fun together. But when we lost that connection with the beer, and it was like one sided. I didn't want her to feel bad, and she was happy for me, but she just felt like she was being left out a little bit. And she was drinking, she is drinking cider, she was drinking cider. Now she's not drinking much cider because it's starting to irritate her too. But I mentioned that it's good to be able to share some of those experiences with your loved one, and especially if she enjoys ciders
Hmm.
or some wines, then hopefully you can find some spots that have a good cider that she can have, or some wine that she hasn't had, and at least share that part. But just keep in mind, maybe in the future, not so many breweries in one time. If she's not able to drink, might be wearing on her,
Yeah.
but but I do love it.
Yeah.
And I think that's great, especially, when you can when you have that connection with the one you love, and you can go do that. It's a fantastic time. So I'm glad he's able to do that. Do you have any comments, Chris? I didn't mean to take up
No,
all
no,
the
no. So I
airtime.
was actually going to say, that we kind of run into that similar situation between Megan and I because beers with her. Oh, and Matthew Laney, what up? He's enjoying a cold smoked Scotch ale.
Oh,
Um,
I just had that beer.
did you? How was it?
Yeah, fantastic. I
Good,
love it.
good. But yeah, Megan kind of has some of those same concerns with beer, like it doesn't always sit well with her, or if she loves sour things, but that kind of messes with her stomach and stuff too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
um we I kind of know what you mean. It's tough to go do those things and go, hey, I know you're not really having the most fun, but hey, thanks for being here with me, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I will say this though. So we went to, I mentioned earlier that we did stop at that bottle shop in Spokane, Washington, called Bottles Beer and Wine.
clever
And I
name.
recommend anyone that goes through Spokane or lives in Spokane, go visit that shop. Mara took care of us. Basically, I'll just tell a story. We showed up and we thought they opened at 1. They didn't open until 2. And so we show up at 1:10 or whatever. We get out of the truck and we walk over, and she sees us walking, and says hi, and Sarah, being as friendly as she is, she just goes and starts talking. "Oh yeah, we're coming to go buy some beers from your shop." She goes, "Oh, well, we don't open until 2." And I'm like, look at my watch. I'm like, I'm not waiting until 2. I want to get on the road and get back home. I don't want to be stuck here and be even later getting back, driving back home. But she says, "But you know what? Come on in." I said, I can't serve you any beer until our operating hours, but I can let you buy whatever you want. And so
Mhm.
she opened the store up for us, and we came in, and Sarah was like a kid in a candy store, and she was so excited to find all these beers for me that she couldn't drink herself, but
Yeah.
she knew that I would enjoy it. And just her eyes were were lit up, and she's just pulling cans after cans and just having a great time. And that made me feel, so happy because she truly loves the hobby that I love. And even if she can't partake in it as fully as I can, she still enjoys giving that joy to me.
Hmm.
And it just made me feel good. And I really, I'm definitely going to go back to Bottles, and I hope that they're going to be able to survive through the pandemic, and stay healthy, as a business and as a crew of two. I know they had a storm that came in the day before we came and blew their back patio like down the street.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, yeah, like they had 60 to 80-mile-an-hour winds, and they lost power, um, for for the morning of that, and a few people died from trees crashing into
Oh, wow.
their house and stuff. It was a bad storm. But yeah, so Bottles in Spokane, highly recommend that. But a couple of the beers I picked up, I've had Kettle House, Smoke, whatever the one that Scotch Ale that Matt Laney
Yep.
was talking about, And so I've had that before, but we grabbed a can because I like that beer. But they also had a variant of it with coffee added. I'll tell you what, that beer was incredible because the coffee flavor just really, it didn't take away from that malt bones from that Scotch ale that I love so much. And that coffee kind of blends in with a little bit of the smokiness. Now, this wasn't a smoky beer by any means, but there's a little bit of extra flavor in there. And that coffee was just a light roast, just lightly in the front, complementing all those malt flavors, and just made a fantastic beer. So Matt, if you can get that coffee variant, get that one. I think you'll enjoy that also.
And what's up, Dan Charlie?
All
From
right, Dan.
Dan Charlie from the Fermented Reality Beer Cast. See you guys in a couple of days.
All right, so that's the feedback we have from last episode. And but if you want to be like Chad and leave some feedback for us, there's a lot of ways you can do that. You can either reach us through email at tapthecraft@gmail.com or on Twitter or Instagram. Just follow us at tapthecraft. And of course, Chris wants to hear from you on our Facebook page, facebook.com/tapthecraft. And don't forget, we do have our very own website. Just find us at tapthecraft.com, where you can find our shows, you can find our videos, you can find some things you might want to buy for your favorite beer, pal. And I did put a count after last show. Remember, William was wondering, hey, how can we figure out what time you're going to have these live shows? I did put a calendar on the website, so you can go down all the way to the bottom of the front page and it's there, or you can click the link that I have at the top and it'll take you to another page that's not as pretty that will show you the schedule. Now, Chris pointed out, I was hoping that the calendar was going to change depending on the time zone that your computer is in, but it doesn't. The calendar is in Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Daylight Time, whatever. It's going to be in the time that I'm in. But I did put a conversion chart on there. So if you're in the Pacific, just, subtract an hour. If you're in Central, add an hour. If you're in Eastern, add 2 hours. So in case you had too many beers to drink and you can't get the math right, hey, I kind of helped you out by just giving you a number to throw in there and know when we're going to do our shows. So yeah, go visit the show. All right, Chris, let's continue the conversation because now it's time to untap the craft and see what our listeners are drinking according to Untapped.
So we're going to start off a whole 6 hours ago. And when I say the name Kevin Page, what do you think he's drinking, Denny?
A burial beer.
It's a burial beer. The End of Plagues by Burial Beer Company.
That's all he drinks.
Well, it's either that or Arcane. Both of those places. Yeah. Well, Arcane's close, but I'd imagine that's about a 2-hour ride for him, give or take. Anyway, he's drinking an End of Plagues by Burial Beer Company. Gave that one 4.5 caps of a rating. No notes for that one. William Schlemmer is drinking a Radicats by Carbon 4 Brewing. And he says it's an okay IPA. A little more fruit flavor would be good. Cool label, though, if you like cats. 3.5 cap rating for that one. And I see why. I got to go check him out on Untapped if you want to see what I'm talking about. Next on the list from 3 hours ago is going to be the Gnarly Gnome. Is drinking an Esther's Little Secret Double Fudge Cream Stout by Warped Wing Brewery at the Gnarly Gnome Tavern. No rating, but he said, "How have I not checked into the fudgy dream yet? It's chocolatey, smooth, just creamy enough. It's brilliant." So now I kind of want to have that beer. So next on the list, drinking it out of his B cups, Jeffrey Seiler is drinking the Brown Note by Against the Grain Brewery. I really do like this beer, but like he says, it's the can art definitely makes this one. It's a tasty brown ale, but this beer is all about the label. The artistic eloquence combined with the commonality of experience that makes this a highly relatable work of fine art.
Nice.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Wow, that's a lot of words.
I need to drink more in order for that to get that out of there. But he gave it 4 cap rating. It looks like he's got a little snow in his backyard. So, Bill, I will answer that question. What's your favorite beer from Coppertail in just a few minutes? let's see, on the list again is Jeff Seiler drinking a Bourbon County brand special number 4 stout.
Okay.
Yeah, you and I are we still have to have that conversation too.
Yeah, we're gonna have a conversation.
Absolutely delicious oatmeal stout, nice bourbon, coffee, and maple flavors balanced to perfection, like Founders CBS, only better. 5 freaking caps.
Wait, is CVS even good though? The Canadian Bacon Stout, right, or whatever
It's the Canadian breakfast stout.
breakfast stout. Yeah, but it's the one that has like that bacon flavor. That
No.
I
It's the breakfast stout. So that coffee, but I believe it's aged in like maple syrup and bourbon barrels.
oh, okay. So it doesn't have
There's no
smokiness to it.
no,
Oh, okay.
not that I remember. But that was one of the beers that was like so sought after. Just
Mm-hmm.
oh my god, you have to go get in line for it. And when it finally came out, and I finally got a hold of it,
It wasn't all that great.
I was extremely disappointed.
I know. That's why I haven't tried it. I've had an opportunity to have it a couple times. I pick it up. I'm like, should I do it? And I'm like, nah, I'll just put it back down.
I mean, if you can go to a place where you can grab a bottle of it, and I think they're in 12-ounce bottles now. So
Oh, are they? Okay. Maybe I'll do a 12-ounce bottle. I'm not going to do the big bottles. They had big bottles before.
Something tells me I want to say that I saw it in cans too.
Oh, wow.
Which again, I think everything's going to cans.
It is, and that's a whole other discussion we can have about, does the packaging take away from the experience? And I don't remember if it was Kirk. It was Kirk, I think. Man, Kirk's gonna make a lot of mentions on this show.
Yep.
He was drinking a beer and a Rausch beer, I think. Now I can't remember exactly what, but he made a comment that, man, when I had this in the bottle, it just seemed like it's experience of in the bottle, and the bottle has that look, right, that you're used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And now when it comes in a can, it loses some of that pizzazz, right? That memory feeling of Rodenbach. Yes, Rodenbach. So I mean, is it going to taste the same in a can because of your mental vision of it has changed? Is it going to be the same, or is it going to be different?
That was something I had to get over too. And Dan Charlie said, "Great cans." That was something I actually had to get over when I started seeing beer in cans. Now, when I was camping this weekend, I had those fat tires. Those are in bottles. I'll be honest, it felt weird drinking a beer out of a bottle. Like,
yeah, because you can't smash it either, right? It's a big bottle that clinks around. It can break. Now you're going to have danger out there in the campsite where people can, get cut if you, and people, hopefully, I mean, did you stay at a campsite that had those big giant smokestack fire pits again, or did you stay at a real one?
No, we stayed at a real one.
And you didn't leave any like burnt glass and cans in the fire pit, did you?
No.
Okay, good. That's my pet peeve. I hate it when people burn all that stuff and leave it in the
we cleaned up our site. I was a little disappointed when we got there because there was like a one of those glow sticks like just thrown on the floor, and my inner Boy Scout was having a little bit of a panic attack. So we went in and kind of swept over the whole campground, picked up the little extra trash, and
we do the same thing. We leave it clean. It up. That was my Boy Scouts taught me, leave the site cleaner than you arrived.
Yeah. We always police the area first, and then after we break everything down, we make sure we're all cleaned up too.
You're a good man.
But yeah, 5 freaking caps for Jeff Seiler.
Woo! Way to go, Jeff.
And I'm curious to have that one too. I do have a bottle of that in the fridge. Continuing his check-in streak for 747 episodes in a row, Chad Lamassa is drinking a Blacklisted by Independent Brewing Company. And he said, "It's a crowler I picked up on Saturday. Nice roasted malt." Excuse me.
Come on, man.
I'm
so
sorry.
unprofessional.
I'm sorry. It snuck up on me. I love a good Schwarzenegger, and this is a
Schwarzenegger. What are you talking about?
That's what it says. I love a good
Schwarzenegger,
and this is a good one.
Schwartz beer? Not Schwarzenegger.
No, it's a Schwarzenegger, and it is a Schwartz beer. But I guess it auto corrected.
Oh, okay.
So here, look, I'm not lying.
I like a good Schwarzenegger too.
Well, here, look, this is his stuff right here. I love a good Schwarzenegger.
How you spell it?
I
Is
don't
that how
know.
Arnold spells his name?
Sure, why not? I love a good Schwarzenegger too, buddy. It's good stuff. Let's see, 4.5 caps for that beer, and he said this is a good one. Let's see. On to the next one. Jim Kudzall. Denny, you chimed in on this one. Drinking a People Power by Union Craft Brewing and Terra. I believe this is the beer that you were just talking about before we really got started.
Oh,
he said,
I didn't hear what Tara said.
You were gone. You were still signing back in.
Okay. Well, finish what Jim said.
Okay, Jim said, nice and refreshing lager, biscuity, malty, with a nice smooth mouthfeel due to the oats. I think I'll have another one after this one. 4.25 caps for this beer. And you said oat lager. That's a new one for me. Cheers,
I've
Jim.
never heard of an oat lager before. First one. Have you heard of an oat lager?
I don't believe so.
No, it sounds intriguing. I do like a nice soft mouthfeel. So the oats would definitely give you that extra body, but lagers already have a good body. So I don't know if I need more body, but I'll try it. I'll try anything.
Yeah, I mean, I totally would too. The next check-in I'm going to read is going to be a first for me. This is for Sarah Zawadski, or as I knew her in high school, Sarah Matthews. She's drinking a Radiant Cut by Other Half Brewing Company. 4.25 caps for this beer, but no notes. And I'm trying to tag her in our video real quick. But
is she in New York, or where's she at?
She's in Maryland.
Maryland?
Yeah,
okay.
She's in Maryland. She's actually not too far from Chad.
Oh,
because she's checked into a lot of Pools Island stuff.
Okay.
It always makes me smile because I see her check into it and I'm like, oh, I wonder if Chad's had that one. Yeah, I'm not worrying about typing it anyway. And last, but we'll have to see if it's the least, Eric Gronley.
Oh, Eric, he's in chat. He's in here too, right?
I believe so. He's drinking a Keller Pils by Summit Brewing Company. And he said, this will always be one of my favorites. It's a classic with honey-like sweetness and citrus. There aren't any gimmicks, just a well-executed Keller Pils. And that's what it's all about.
That's right.
4.5 caps for that
beer. Nice.
And with a quick refresher, Mark Church gets his in there.
Oh, Mark's online too, I think.
Yeah, he picked up a growler yesterday of the Woolly Pig Farm Bach.
Wow, that's a good name there.
That's a great name. So the Woolly Pig Farm Bach gave that 4 cap rating. And one more check-in from Sarah Zawadski. He's drinking the Sorbetto Series number 24 by Evergreen Brewing Company. No notes on that one, but 4.5 caps for that beer. And Denny, that is what everyone is drinking.
Fantastic. Wow, that's some great variety of beers, even Schwarzenegger beer.
Beers.
Which is great. And so what did Tara say about the oat lager?
She had mentioned, so she had mentioned that the beer she was drinking was that beer, and then 10% of the proceeds are going towards the ACLU.
Oh yeah, it did have the front of it did have a people. What was it? Something people. Gosh,
People Power.
People Power. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, hey, you guys are drinking some great beers out there. Thanks for making an effort to check in the beers 24 hours before we record so we can mention you on air. All right, Chris, you ready for some Brew Buzz?
I certainly am.
All right. Well, it's time for the Brew Buzz, and the Brew Buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics. And this week, as I already mentioned, we're going to discuss the Adambier style, brought to us by our Patreon listener, Kirk Tabor. So I already mentioned that he's been mentioned a few times in this episode. I really appreciate Kirk. I did pull from a couple articles. I went and read a bunch of stuff at various things, but I only kind of took content from 2 websites. One is What is an Adambier? And this one was from hopculture.com. And I'll have a link to that in the show notes. You can go read more of it if you want to see more about that. And the other one is the Style Guide Amber Beer from the brewerydb.com. And I think they just kind of stole it from the Brewers Association when they had it in their BJCP style guidelines before the new ones. I think they took it out of the 2015 because I didn't find it in 2015. But I think this beer style is part of the smoked beers, and I didn't. I was in a hurry when I was kind of reviewing the BJCP style guideline things, and I may have missed it, but I didn't really see Adambier mentioned in it. So I may have taken it out in the new version, which is okay. It is an old ancient style that for the most part, I wouldn't say a lot of people are brewing. I think very few breweries are brewing this. So as I mentioned, I kind of wrote down some notes here. So as I was perusing my Untapped activity page, I came across a beer style I had never heard of. At first, I thought it was a joke, but then I discovered it was a real style. The beer Kurt was drinking and enjoying was the Spelunkheimer by Thin Man Brewing out of Buffalo, New York. He describes it as smooth, roasted malt, not over the top, drinks like a Martin's big brother. This beer is 8.4%, so big brother indeed. So that right there gives you a hint of what this beer style is all about. For one thing, it's big. Adam beers are going to be high ABV beers. No weak beers for Adam. Adam, should be called Goliath, maybe. I don't know. It's like a big beer. So yeah. So what do you think, Chris? I'll start this thing off with Kenny Gould over at hopculture.com website describes it as like a Dortmunder. Adambier came from the city of Dortmund in Germany. But while Dortmunders traditionally hover around 5 or 6% ABV, Adambiers pack a 10% ABV punch or higher. Dark and sour, they were often aged in wood for several years. Think strong Belgian sour beers, but with more hops and smoke. Back in the day, maltsters didn't have temperature-controlled malt houses. Instead, they malted their barley using wood-fired kilns. As a result, malt often took on a smoky flavor, which led to many of the smoked beer styles we have today, like Rauchbier, Grotzitsky, and Adambier. Today, many breweries making incarnations of the Adambier have dropped the smoked malts in deference to the modern palate. And so that's kind of a synopsis of this whole style in a nutshell. It is an ancient beer style. The reason it took on its smokiness is not because they deliberately went and smoked the malts. It's because they had no other way of getting that malt roasted without adding smoke flavor to it. So that just was a side effect of the process at the time. And again, I'll save it for later because I have my own input on when I found out that I actually had this beer a few times. I realized why I hadn't had any more because the smokiness can be real off-putting. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that breweries have decided to take it down a notch and just enjoy the beer style without the smokiness is a good thing. All right, so Chris, I did pull some information from that Brewery DB website. So why don't you go ahead and go ahead and go through the list of how they describe it.
So before I get into that, Jeffrey Seiler said Schwarzenegger beer so good, I'll be back. Rim shot. All right. So Adambier is an ale of German origin. Okay, and the Adambier is a light brown to very dark in color. It may not use wheat in its formulation. Original styles of this beer may have a low or medium-low degree of smokiness. Smoke character may be absent in contemporary versions of this beer. Yeah, because like you said, they got it. It was hard to not have smoke in the beer when they were roasting the malts. Astringency of highly roasted malt should be absent. Toast and caramel-like malt characters may be evident. Low to medium hop bitterness are perceived. Low hop flavor and aroma are perceived. It's originally a style from Dortmund. Mm-hmm. Adambier is a strong, dark, hoppy, sour ale extensively aged in wood barrels. So that's a lot going on, huh?
Yeah. Okay. And especially when you age something in wood barrels, that just takes on even more of that character of that wood, right? And it gives you even a stronger flavor. There's a lot of strong stuff going on with this beer.
Yeah, a lot of very very over the top flavors almost that.
Mhm.
Well, the one you had, you liked it, right?
Well, no, I've had a few different ones I didn't realize that I had, and we'll talk about it later.
Okay. Let's see. Extensive aging and the acidification of this beer can mask malt and hop character to varying degrees. Traditional and non-hybrid varieties of European hops were traditionally used. A Kolsch-like ale fermentation is typical, and aging in barrels may contribute some level of Brettanomyces and lactic character. The end result is a medium to full-bodied, complex beer in hop, malt, Brett, and acidic balance.
Yeah, so it's keep in mind that this beer was basically a top fermented lager, basically, right, kind of beer um, back in the day. So it's Kolsch like is where they're getting that, of using like a lager yeast at a higher temperature.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and continue on.
Yeah. So some of the style characteristics for this beer, ABV is going to be sitting around 7.1 to 8.7% alcohol by volume.
Now this was what the Brewery DB says, but
Okay.
in reality, it's up to 15%. So I don't know why they stopped at 8.7. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I just want to say it goes up high.
I don't know if there's something in my nose or what. I'm over here. I think I'm going to sneeze, but I'm not sure.
Oh.
But hey, let's do it live on camera.
It's
right?
all that beer. It's all that beer you're drinking. Did you switch beers?
It's gone. We need to.
Come on, pop that next one. Don't be slowing
IBUs
down.
are at 30 to 50 international bittering units. Let's see, can or bottle? Can.
What? You know what you got.
I know. And you can't.
You got the fat tire, and you got the one you can't see in your screen. Yeah.
Yeah, it just blends all the way. Yeah. So we're gonna have this double IPA from Other Half. Some examples of the style: St. Arnold Brewing's Bishop Barrel Number 17. Which, yeah, here's just a contradiction to what they said already. This one's clocking in at 13%.
Okay, hold on.
Go ahead.
So these examples, I pulled these examples of beers in America that have brewed either an Adambier that they specify as an Adambier, or a beer that they maybe didn't specify was an Adambier, but is an Adambier. So you might be surprised that you may have tried one of these beers and not known it was an Adams beer, because it might have been labeled as something else, which is the case of like a double, like an alt ale or something that's easier for people to understand than Adams beer. So, but let me read the second one, because this is the one that I'm going to get a lot of crap for, because people either adore this brewery or they're like me and think it's past its time. And this is Hair of the Dog in Portland. Now I know Kurt, if he's still online, he lived in Portland for a while, and maybe he's a huge fan of Hair of the Dog. But I'll tell you what, I'm not a huge fan of Hair of the Dog. Even 20 years ago when I had their stuff, I was not a fan of their beer. And one of the reasons why I'm not a fan is because of this beer that I didn't realize was an Adams beer. I just got it. It was called Adam. And but it's actually Adams beer. And I'll tell you what, this one has so much smoke. It's like I'm drinking an ashtray. It was so bad.
Geez.
And these are expensive beers. Back in, like I said, 20 years ago, 18 years ago, they all came in these big, huge bottles, 22 or 25. I can't remember. They were big. And I couldn't drink more than like 3 ounces. Luckily, I had other people that were helping me drink this beer, but it was so smoky and hard to drink that I just didn't, it was way over my palate. My palate was fatigued after about 4 ounces, and I couldn't drink anymore. It's a 10% beer, but heavy smoke, heavy barrel character that was just too much for my palate. And I'm a experienced beer drinker, even at that time, very experienced. And I just said, okay, no. Some of the other beers are not as harsh as that one, but yeah, that's my story from Hair of the Dog. So
Kirk said, "Attaboy."
All right, so continue on, Chris.
All right. Completely lost my place. All right, so Hair of the Dog, Adam at 10%. You had this in 2004 and hated it.
Yeah, I did hate it.
Side projects, Langst.
Links, yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. Which was 10%.
Yeah, this side project. That's a brewery out of St. Louis, I believe.
Okay.
I think they do a lot of specialty barrel aged mixed fermentation type stuff. If I'm correct, I think that's the one that's in St. Louis.
Okay. The Monarchy Methuselam, which again, clocking in at 10%. None of these beers are within that window until we get to Ninkasi's Brewing Slayer Winter Ale, which is at about 7.2%. That Denny, you've had this a number of times.
Yeah, I've had this a ton of times. Like every winter I have it. I didn't have it this winter. This is the one winter I didn't have it. But I thought it was an alt ale, alternative ale, but it doesn't have really it can be a wide range of flavors and stuff. It's not like dialed into one thing. And I love this beer. In fact, I give this beer, I've checked into it 3 times on Untapped, I think, and I've given it a 5 cap rating every time I checked into it. Every year I have it, it still is fantastic. But what they call it a double alt ale, and so I didn't really think of it as an Adams beer because they called it something different. Mm-hmm. But in theory, supposedly it is an Adams beer, and it is the lowest percentage Adambier that we have on the list at 7.2.
Okay.
And it's a 5 cap rating in my book. I love this beer. So I have one Adams beer I can't stand and wouldn't even rate it, and one Adams beer that I give a 5. So there's a wide variety of what you can experience with this style. Okay.
Next on the list, Hoppenfrog, which is who I had a beer from this evening. The Frag heißt Du hast mich gefragt. 8.2%, so it's still in that window.
Yeah, you nailed that.
Well, if you look at it, it's pretty much the lyrics to Du hast from Rammstein.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Against the Grains, Frag heißt Babyschlager.
Have you had that one?
No.
I haven't either.
But just the name in itself, I want to have it now.
The Babyschlager. Come on, the Frag heißt Babyschlager?
Yeah.
Come on, it's got to be good. 10%.
Let's see, the Distilled Wild Sour series. So I didn't know that was they have an Adambier as well.
Well, yeah. Now, I don't know how much this is released, but we get some distill here. I think they've come in a couple times, not very often. But I know that Tom Byrne is a huge. I mean, I believe I've seen him drink some distill, and I see a lot of my Untapped, friends drink distill, and it's one of the breweries that I really want to drink some of their beers just to try it, because they do have some great wild fermented sour beers. So I want to try them. But again, as I'm getting older, I'm definitely having trouble, drinking the sour beers. If I hold it to 1, and then I drink something like a lager right after, so I can just like mellow out my stomach and not get too crazy. I can't drink a sour ale and an IPA afterwards, or I'll be dead.
Oh yeah, and that was another. The Wild Sour series was Megan would get those all the time, but I guess with time, it does affect you a little bit.
Yeah. As you get older, especially.
Well, you're 2 years. You're a year, 2 years past being a kid now, right?
Yeah, I'm way past being a kid.
Well, according to Jim,
the Jim.
Once you hit 50, then you're no longer a kid. So
I look like a kid, but I'm not a kid anymore.
Well, up here I'll be 12 to the day I die. So
no. Once you hit 50, I was that way, and then once I hit 50, that mentality just went away, because all of the stuff started hitting. I mean, it's just like clockwork. Your body says, you know what, you're over 50. I'm gonna show you you're over 50. You're not gonna be able to keep up anymore. And it does. It punches you over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm proof of it.
Yeah. All right. And the last two, the Uinta Adambier and the Block 15 Wildfire Adambier.
Yeah.
So I want to say I may have had something similar to this that Cigar City put out, and the name itself made me not want to drink it, but
Yeah, anything that has smoke, campfire, I mean wildfire, right? I mean good names, right? For wildfire amber beer, I'm sure that Block 15 beer is probably got some smoke character to it if it's going to have wildfire in it.
It was called Black Ash.
Oh yeah, black ash? No way am I drinking black
Mm,
ash.
yeah.
Ashtray? Not good.
Um, and it's an American black lager. But it says it's aged on black ash. Uh,
Like a black ash wood. I've never
Maybe.
heard of black ash. I mean, I've heard of ash trees, but I
Yeah.
don't know about black ash itself. Maybe it's blackened ash. I don't know.
I don't know. I remember there being like a almost like an ashtray on the front of it, and it
Yeah,
was just
that's a turnoff. If I see anything with an ashtray or cigarette ashes or anything, I'm not
yeah,
going to drink it. I already know I'm
yeah,
not going to like it.
yeah.
Well,
It was pretty rough.
so Chris, none of these beers you've had then, but or have even
No,
heard of? You never even heard of these?
no.
Okay. Okay. I wonder how many of our listeners that, have had some of these beers. I think probably that Ninkasi Slayer. I bet a lot of our listeners who can get Ninkasi have probably tried that one. So that's one they probably didn't know. But the other ones, they're all pretty much specifically like specific styles that are special beers that they may, people may not try if they aren't sure of the style. So yeah, so maybe only Ninkasi is the one that most people would have
And you
had.
know what? We don't get Ninkasi down here, but I have seen there's like special occasions where we will see Ninkasi beers, and I have seen that Slayer Winter Ale before. And now it's when I see it the next time, I will be buying it.
Yeah, you know what? I probably have the bottle. Oh yeah. Hold on one second.
Okay. Oh, don't drop any of those bottles. Okay. Yeah.
See?
And as Dan Charlie likes to say, careful, you don't want any earthquakes taking down your bottle collection.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like me running around. But yeah, this is Ninkasi. They call it right on the bottle. They say dark double alt. Yeah. So it is confusing when they label something different. So yeah, I have the original bottle, I think, released back in the day. But now they come in smaller bottles. You don't have to get the big one. But before they were only releasing these things in these big bottles. Back in the day, 22s were like all the special beers were in 22s.
Yeah. Remember, well, I don't know. You said you never stand in line for beer, but
I've never stood in line for beer.
Well,
besides a beer festival where I have to stand in line. But other than that.
Well, never stood in line for a bottle release. Let's go with that.
So I'm looking at our chat here on the thing. Welcome, Johan. It must be. I hope it's not too late for you, or you're getting up for work. Whatever. Thank you for joining us in Sweden. I love that you decided to come in, see the bacon being made this morning. And then Jim Kutzel. Speaking of body punches, Tara and I got our shingles vaccine last week. So I guess they listened to the show and saw and realized that, you know what, we don't want to get this crappy thing. So I hope I save you a lot of pain in the future. So that's great. And you see that Jeff Seiler also says black ash, Fraxinus nigra. The black ash is a species of ash native to much of eastern Canada and the northeastern United States, from the western Newfoundland west to southwestern Manitoba and south to Illinois and northern Virginia. So it's actually, yeah, it actually goes a long way. So you guys actually northern Virginia. So you guys might have had some black ash in Maryland too. Then
we probably did.
Yeah. Yeah. See, it's great to have this thing live. We got people answering our questions for us live on air.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris. Wait.
I would jump into something completely off topic.
Okay.
Not even beer related.
Uh-oh.
I just got a text from a friend of mine who said that she's going to move from San Diego back to Maryland. And she just got quoted from a moving company, $23,000 to move.
Was she packing up her mansion and moving back east?
No, This is actually another Sarah that I went to high school with. Her and her husband Mike have lived in San Diego for the past decade or so, and they want to move back to Maryland. And yeah, she's
I guess she'll be packing up that 24-foot U-Haul and driving back herself.
well,
I've done that trip before. It's not
yeah.
fun, but
I
hey,
mean,
if you save $21,000, it's worth it.
well, I mean, just doing the move from Ohio to here, I think our total bill was like $5,500, and we packed everything, but movers put it in a truck, drove it down here, offloaded it in the house. Jim Kudzall said you can buy all new stuff for that. Yeah,
Exactly.
certainly
You
can.
could.
Yeah. So yeah, she said, yeah, this company quoted us $23,000, and that's not a typo.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what? I'll do it for 20.
No, you won't.
I'll drive the truck. I can hire movers. I just need somebody to load it in the truck in
Oh
San
wait.
Diego.
Oh, for 20. You'll do it for 20. You'll save her
Yeah,
$3,000.
I'll save you
That's
three
not much
grand
of a
because I'm a
savings. You
good
guys.
friend, Denny. Okay.
I was thinking you would save her 20 by do it for 3. That's what I
No,
was thinking
okay.
you're saying.
18.5 then.
Okay, that's yeah. I would say maybe 15 would be a good deal. That's all the
Right.
way across the. I can understand. It's all the way across the widest part of the United States. So of course it's going to be a little more expensive. So 15, I think is good.
You're lowballing me here.
Yeah, because you can get a U-Haul. What would a U-Haul rental be from San Diego to Maryland,
Let's
right?
say it was $1,000.
1,500, 1,500. I'll go high, 1,500.
Okay.
And then you hire some people to pack up the truck and unpack it. What's that going to be? 750
Okay. So
each way,
anytime.
$3,000. You can still
Yeah.
pocket 12 grand after you pay the gas. That's going to cost you $1,000 to get back
Oh,
there,
yeah. So
and hotels.
the last time we moved and I was charged an hourly rate, it was $125 an hour.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And you can pack, and they packed our entire house in like 4 or 5 hours.
Hmm.
I could totally do this.
All right, think it through. Yeah,
Let's
think it
get
through.
back to
See if you
this.
can make some money off of this, and you and Megan go on a nice, romantic trip to Ireland if they're taking visitors.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay. All right, ready to get back to beer?
I am. Let's get to it.
Okay. So it's now time for our new and noteworthy. Now, Chris, if you noticed, we didn't get a chance to talk about our new and noteworthy last episode. So I left yours in there and I left mine in there and I added more to mine. Now I have, I don't know, 10 or 12 beers in my list because I probably had 30 beers I could talk about, but I narrowed it down in 1 month time frame to about 10 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
But you still only have 3 beers.
So I saw that list and I went, you know what? I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay, but we're doing good time. It's only been an hour of recording.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I'll go over my first couple.
Okay, then I'll go over mine, and you go
And then
back and add some.
Yeah, and then I'll jump in and add a couple. But I'll be honest with you, the beers that I did have, the majority of them,
Not so great.
they were either horrible, like that Kentucky Fog from Bourbon County, which I rated a quarter cap.
You did not rate it a quarter cap, did you?
Yes, I did. I had a version of Hunapoo called, I don't even know if I can pronounce this, Zmukane's Imperial Stout. It was basically Hunapoo with coffee and hazelnut that went into this one. So it was just one of the bottles that was available.
Mm-hmm.
This was going to be one of the bottles that was supposed to go out at Hunapoo Day last year, but they offered it up to all the folks who are El Catador Club members. That were their bottle club at Cigar City. So they offered it up to us first and then released it to the public. So I said, why not buy some? But it was a four and a quarter cap beer for that one. So let's see. My new and noteworthy beers. Starting with Mountains Walking, which Mountains Walking, I do believe, is out of Montana. Now,
oh, okay.
Remember when we did that kind of collaboration with the guys over at Oh, what was that podcast? The guys who never sent me my stuff from Mad Swede.
Well, we never we never actually did a collaboration because it was only us. They didn't really participate, but that's Brewnomics.
Brewnomics. Okay.
Yeah, I was hoping we would do a collaboration where we could get on and talk about our beers and do it with their listeners, our listeners. But you, me, and our listeners are the only ones that participated, so it was a one-sided collaboration.
But yeah, so I started reading through when we were doing that. Yeah, this is out of Bozeman, Montana, which I want to go visit too because we have a Sit Mean Sit location there. That I started looking at that list going, I've had like beer from one brewery in Montana, Big Sky, Moose Drool. That's been pretty much it. And I've been seeing a lot more beers kind of coming out of Montana and being accessible to me in some form or fashion. So I've been grabbing a hold of them. And this Sweets Peach Cobbler, which was a fruited Berliner, again, for the guy who hates sour beers. Dessert style smoothie sour ale brewed with toasted oats, lactose, and cobbler crumble from the folks at Wild Crumb Bakery. And then conditioned this beer on 1,500 pounds of peach puree. All right. So this beer
Sounds horrible.
you know what? It was a little sweet, but Megan enjoyed it.
Did you get any like acid reflux flavor out of there? Or anything?
No, her and Tina drank it, and I took a couple sips of it. Peach is one of my favorite flavors.
I know it is. I just give you a bad time. Yeah, I know.
So that beer I gave 4.25 caps to. And then next on my list is from Other Half, which, by the way, this Other Half beer that I've been drinking,
incredible.
Pretty damn good.
I know. I've been Other Half is a brewery that I want to try. I was hoping when I was doing some beer swapping with one of our listeners, Matt Knight, Skinny Matt Knight, that he was going to send me some Other Half, because he's in Rochester, New York. But he decided it was more important to send local beers, so I got Rochester beers, which was great. I don't mind that at all. But so, I do want to try Other Half one day.
Yeah. So this again came from Tavor. So if it pops up again, I'd like to get some for you.
All right.
You won't hate that, I promise.
I won't hate it. No.
So their Other Half's double dry hopped double mosaic dream. Now, I don't remember the notes off of this beer, but 4.5 caps is what I gave the rating. It's their standard double mosaic dry hopped a second time with some mosaic lupulin powder. Oh. And this beer was pretty damn good. I remember it disappearing rather quickly. So, and by the way, Jeff Seiler, Denny, he said standing in line for rare beer is so cool. You get to meet other beer folks, talk beer. Laugh.
I do that at the bar. I can do that at the bar. I meet people all the time. He
said, try it. You'll love it. I can't argue with you there, Jeff.
I will say that at beer festivals, when I'm standing in line waiting for a beer that I feel I have to try before I leave that festival, I have had some great conversations with people. People that have mentioned, hey, great beard, or hey, I like your shirt you're wearing, or hey, whatever. We just start a conversation and it's been fun. I do enjoy that, but that's a special occasion. It's a beer festival.
Yeah.
Special occasion is not waiting in line for a beer because they're so popular that if you don't wait in line, you won't get it. Well, you know what? I'm all over the FOMO. I'm FOMO low.
You're FOMO'd out.
2021 is FOMO low.
And I'm with you on that one. But it's basically waiting in line for beer is a mini beer festival. Guys, back me up on this.
No,
it was a mini beer festival when you wait in line for beer.
No, when you did it was because you would bring a cooler of beer, they would bring a cooler of beer, and you guys would share beers while you're waiting 16 hours in line. But
2.
I don't have 2 hours. I don't have the time, and it's 7:30 in the morning as well. But I don't have the time to go sit and wait in line for beer and drink beer. I mean, maybe now that I have unlimited time off, I can just do that. I can just go and
I'll
wait for
admit
beer.
there's something about being wasted at 7:45 in the morning.
Ah,
All right, let's get
awesome.
through this last beer. Monkless Belgian ales, their hazy day in Brussels. Um, I've had a bunch of stuff from Monkless, which I've just thoroughly enjoyed, and it seems to be every time something pops up from them, I'm trying to pick it up. This was a Belgian triple,
Mm,
but a little on the hazy side, so it worked out.
okay.
It worked out really well. Bill McElwain said, "I will come wait in line for beer, even if I don't want it, just to drink some beer." Look, Denny, you
We
can't
can drink
argue.
beer anytime. Well, I guess if if you don't want to drink alone, it's fine. I
Okay,
I totally understand that. That's a great way. If you don't have someone to drink with and you want to go drink with your people, then go stand in line. I mean, I if you didn't stand in line at Angry Chair, I wouldn't have had this awesome Russian interference bottle in my
that's
collection.
true.
So I mean, there is a good, it's a good thing, but
You know
not
what's
for me.
you know what's funny about the Angry Chair beers now? I see them get released, and I'm like, I'm not doing
Why
that.
not though? Are these did the quality go down over
No,
time?
the quality didn't go down. Me personally, I'm just kind of over the, big giant chewy pastry, cinnamon, vanilla, melt your face stouts.
Exactly. Maybe you get one of those a year and you're happy, right? Instead
But
of having them like constant.
I'll tell you what I did order recently though. Oh man, get into your new and noteworthies, and then I'll tell you about
Okay.
the one that I ordered.
Okay. Before I get into mine, every time I look over at Monkless Belgian ales, I think of my visual pattern recognition looks and says monk ass or monkey
Monkey.
ass or something. I keep thinking monk ass.
So here, let's see if this will pick it up. I just ordered this.
Sierra Nevadas, peanut butter
Narrow,
narwhal, cup
narrow.
narwhal.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's going to be either good or it's going to be not so good
I know.
because I literally almost every peanut butter cup thing I've had in the last year or two has been not very good.
So I was interested in this one. I picked up 2 cans of it, and Jeff said, "Yes, Chris, it's a mini beer fest. Folks bring rare beer to share in line. It's so much fun." Denny has no idea what he's missing.
I know, I know. I don't have any beers in Boise. We're not that. We haven't got that big yet. Now maybe Western Collective, if they keep producing great beers like they have been, will get to a point where they sell out right away and you're gonna have to wait in line. And I still won't wait in line because I'm not going to wait in line for beer. So
All
uh,
right, all right.
it
Yeah,
is what it
that's
is.
fine.
All right, let me get to my new and noteworthy. So I've got a few. Let me get my untapped back up because okay, I'm starting off with a beer that I've already had before and I've probably already mentioned on the show, but because it's now 3 years old when I had it, I had to re-mention how it fares being aged 3 years. And this is from Fremont Brewing. It's their cinnamon bee bomb. That's the Abominable Ale. It used to be called Abominable Ale until they got sued and they had to change the name to Bee Bomb.
Okay.
Their 2017 version of it. And again, I'd already had this beer before, and I was really worried that it was going to that the cinnamon was going to fall off.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you what, it didn't. And this beer ages so well. So here's what I said. I said 3 years cellared. Does it hold up? Hell yes. I think it's even smoother than it was when I had it in 2017. Cinnamon flavor in the background with the coffee faintly making an appearance. That's the other thing, is that there still was a hint of coffee in there, which surprised me because um, you know, that type of flavor falls off very quickly, but you still felt like there was, coffee flavor in there, with the uh, coffee faintly making an appearance and the bourbon character playing nicely. And I gave this a 5 cap rating. I think I gave the original in 2017 a 5 cap rating. So this beer holds up. 3 years cellared, still holds up, being a great beer. Fremont Brewing, Bee Bomb, fantastic.
Now let
So
me
I just
ask you
wanted to throw
this:
that. Yeah.
Was that? Do you remember? And this is a. Do you remember if that was a bottle? Did you have it on draft? What do you?
No bottle. No. I have both bottles. No, I have actually I have one bottle behind me. I threw once I have a bottle, I don't save a second one of that.
Mhm.
I toss the second bottle.
Okay.
But yeah, I had the bottle.
What do you think the bottle would cost you?
Well, fresh, it's somewhere between 24 and $27. So used or old,
Used.
probably $30,
The reason
29.99.
the reason I ask is because I have an opportunity for this right now.
The 21 cinnamon coconut. So I haven't had the cinnamon coconut. That's a new variant. They usually have the cinnamon or the coconut, not the combined. So I haven't had that one yet. But what's the cost of it? 24? 30? Above 30?
It's
Don't pay above.
$35,
No, don't pay $35. Come on.
and
That's
it's been
ridiculous.
sitting. Yeah, it's been sitting. Um, so yeah, I was kind of curious about that one just because it was like,
Well, it's 2021. It's a brand new one. It shouldn't be $35 for a brand new beer. It's not even aged.
it's barrel aged.
No, all of them are barrel aged.
Oh, okay.
That is a
Oh, it's
fresh bottle.
fresh. It's a fresh
I
barrel
drank
aged. I gotcha.
I drank the barrel aged ones that are 3 years old and still holds up. Now they hold up. They're
Mhm.
great beers, but they're expensive, right?
Mhm.
You can't find them for even local here. Well, I'm not local. Washington, Fremont, Seattle area is
Mhm.
local, but they're 25, 24, $25, $26 a bottle. Then as they get older, each year it goes up a buck. And I would say that for like a 2017 that I just drank, I would say that beer would be $30 because it's 3 years old. That's typically the way it goes. Is usually a buck a year increase.
Yeah.
Um, and I and it's worth it, but I wouldn't pay $35 for a fresh one right now. I mean I don't know. That's just weird. Maybe when they come to Boise, I haven't seen them in Boise yet. Maybe that beer will be here. If it's $30, I'm not buying it. If it's 26, 27, I might because the beer is good. It's a good beer.
Mhm.
I'm a sucker for a good beer and a beer that holds up. But I'm trying not to age my beers. I'm trying to empty my cellar. I'm trying to be good about that. In fact, I'm drinking a couple beers that were new. I don't think I have them on the list. Well, I drank the Bourbon County brand Kentucky Fog Stout fresh. I didn't age that one. But okay, so that's enough of Fremont.
Okay.
I've already spilt my love for Fremont Brewing. I love them. The next one, let me talk about Foothills Brewing Sexual Chocolate Imperial Stout. This is the one that Jeff Seiler sent us. Jeff's on
Yep.
watching us right now, and let's see what I said about this. I said this beer has been on my bucket list for quite a while. I have to thank one of our awesome listeners, Jeff Seiler, for sending it to me. Very enjoyable Russian Imperial Stout with a bit of coffee flavor and lots of chocolate with a perfect amount of bourbon barrel character. 4.5 cap rating for me. I enjoyed this beer. I thought really well done beer. All the flavors come through. The bourbon character and the adjuncts don't take away from that Russian Imperial Stout. I
Right.
appreciate when I can taste the Russian Imperial Stout underneath it, and I really enjoyed that one. So that's the second one I'll talk about. Next, I'm going to talk about Deschutes Brewery's The Ages. This is a 2018 bottle. So I've been mentioning that I'm drinking beer that I got for free. The reason I'm getting this beer for free is because I have a friend that works at the distributor. And it just happens that when they pull beers because they're too old, that they end up getting a discount for them. Sometimes they even get them for free. So they happened to have a Christmas party, and my friend had a choice of picking two things from the big bulk of stuff that they were giving away to their employees. And he picked up a case of this beer that I'm talking about right now. It's the Deschutes Brewery, The Ages Lambic Goose 2018 for free.
Hmm.
And he picked up that case of oh wait, I called it Polliner, but it's Polaner. That's the
Polaner.
proper way, right? Martzen. So that's where I got those free beers from. I've got 12 bottles of this beer that I am giving a 4.5% rating on. It's a Lambic Goose Sour Ale that is absolutely incredible. And I'm going to give it I'm not going to drink 12 bottles of this. So guess what? I'm going to be giving this away to some of my friends like you, Chris,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe some lucky listeners who like to send us beers and would enjoy a nice Lambic Goose. Goose is basically a blended beer of many different blends, sour ale from Belgium. So here's what I have to say about this beer. I have a case of this beer and I'm sending out some to my friends. It's a great beer, aged for 2 years and blended so well. Slight tartness, but mostly dry, with pear flavor and a light funk. A hint of Saison-like backbone that makes me happy because I love Saisons. This beer is so smooth and so good, and it's already aged 2 years. If you age this longer, it's only gets smoother. And the funk is not heavy funk that you would just, dislike, Chris. It's not a heavy barnyard funk flavor. It's
Okay.
very, very mellow, but so many flavors come out of this thing that I absolutely love it. And I'm going to drink probably 3 of the 12 bottles myself. So keep in mind that I'm not going to give away all of it because I really like this beer, but I will be giving away some of this. So if you would appreciate, uh, one of these beers, let me know. And maybe you'll be a lucky participant of receiving one. All right. What's next on my list here? I've got, I'm going through my Untapped because I drank so many beers. I got to find the ones in orders here. Okay, so I'm going to talk about next. I'm going to talk about a Guinness beer, the Guinness Open Gate Brewery's Imperial Stout, aged in bourbon barrels. Now, I don't remember if I mentioned this that I drank the gingerbread one and I paid $10 for a freaking 11-ounce bottle of this beer that tasted to me like it was a barley wine, right? A very well done English barley wine with some ginger flavor in there, like gingerbread barley wine. The beer itself was good. I think I gave that beer like a 4 cap rating. I knocked it down a whole cap because it wasn't an imperial stout.
Oh.
So I knocked it down a whole thing. It was a great beer. If it was labeled as a barley wine, I would have gave it a 5 cap rating. Oh no, I would have gave it a 4.5 because I would have knocked a half cap rating off because the price was too high. Because I'm like that. Now I got screwed paying $10. Everyone else is saying they paid $5 for the beer. I paid for that gingerbread one, I paid 10. Now for the beer I'm going to talk about now, I paid $5, and this beer is really two style fantastic, and that is their Imperial. That's the Guinness Open Gate Brewery Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels. And here's what I said about this one. Okay, now this is actually close to an Imperial Stout. Some nice flavors, and the bourbon barrel complements the chocolate and light roasted notes well. Amazingly smooth for 10.3% ABV. I don't get any heat from this. This is a fantastic beer. Now, Chris, have you run across these Guinness beers?
I have seen them, and I look at them and I go, I should get one just to try it. And I never do. But you know what?
You should try this. Try the regular barrel aged one. It is fantastic.
It made your list a new and noteworthy. I mean,
yeah, 4.5 cap.
Now.
4.5 cap on that one. A Guinness beer, 4.5 cap.
That's impressive.
That's a good. Okay. All right. Wow, I'm burping up.
Oh, careful! It's so unprofessional.
I know. It's like I'm talking too much, right? All right. I'm going by some other 4.5 ratings. I got to get to the next one. Oh, all right, Chris. Now's our time to
battle it out.
Yeah, battle it out.
Yeah.
Bourbon. So Goose Island Beer Company's Bourbon County brand Kentucky Fog Stout, 2020 version. Now, last episode I mentioned that this is a beer that I really wanted to try. And you mentioned that, I have all the variants because I'm Mr. Moneybags. I can buy them all.
Get out of here.
Just kidding. I mean, you have available, so you bought them. I would do the same thing if I had them available, but they're a bit pricey too. I know you may have paid about $20. I paid $25 $25 or
Yeah,
$26
it was
for
right
mine.
in there,
Yeah,
23-ish, something like that.
yeah. But when I was in Washington at the bottles, they had a couple different variants, and they had one bottle of the Fog, and I love tea beers, right? Beers that have tea in it,
Mhm.
and I know what the flavors to expect, and so I was really excited. So I chose that one over the other ones that were there, and it was actually, um, 20. Like I said, I had a price tag on 25, $26. Now, Chris, you had this beer like the day before, or maybe the day before I bought it, and you didn't have a very good experience, like Mike Allen or Jeff Seiler. Wait, did Jeff? No, Jeff didn't have it. I guess Mike
Mike
Allen had
Allen.
it, and you had a very not so pleasant experience. Describe your experience with this beer?
So I'll admit I was very excited to try this beer just because of someone. I think it was actually because of Mike's
Hmm.
recommendation, right? And I was like, okay, cool. Tea, that Earl Grey tea. I really do like that in a beer.
Hmm.
And I was really excited to try it. I went, oh man, I have that beer in the fridge. We got to definitely go check this out. So I cracked it open. Now, because Megan isn't a huge fan of barrel aged beers, I shared it with our friend Tina.
Okay.
Right, so that it wasn't only me who had this who had this experience. So we tried it out, and just outright hated it.
So if I remember correctly, you were getting hints of like maybe medicinal or
Robitussin,
Robitussin,
yeah,
sweetness,
cough syrup,
cough
yeah.
syrupy character.
Like
And
you could definitely taste, like you could definitely taste that bitter flavor from the black tea, right? You
mhm,
could definitely taste it there, and you could definitely taste the honey. Like all the flavors were there, but all put together, it made this just horrible cherry Robitussin, just kind of that and I wasn't too much of a fan of. And it was funny because we both got about halfway through our glasses and we both went, "Yeah, I'm struggling to drink this." "Oh, really? Me too." Yeah, I was struggling to drink that beer.
did you guys finish it?
Nope.
Oh my gosh, Chris.
Dumped it.
Oh, you dumped it.
Yep.
All right. So you gave that a quarter cap rating.
Granted, I may have only dumped about 6 ounces at most, but
Okay.
still, I just
Did
couldn't, and I did. I gave it a quarter cap.
did you let Megan try it at least?
No.
Okay. I mean, I wonder if she would have had a different response.
Normally, when Megan tries barrel aged beers, it goes something like this. Megan, I love you. It goes something like this.
Mhm. you gotta you gotta watch the video to see the face.
Yeah, right. Now, I get it. Most of the time, you'll drink a barrel aged beer and it'll be boozy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sometimes it's a little hot, and she doesn't ever really drink like hard liquor, things like
Yeah.
that. So I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. It's a little too hot for her, and that's why normally when she goes, "Oh, what are you drinking?" "Hey, I'm drinking this beer. It's barrel aged. If you'd like to try it, you're free to." Most of the time, she'll go, "Nah, I'm good." Um, but there have been a handful, just like I always say, if you don't like one, try another one.
Yeah.
Um, that she has tried and she's going, wow, this one's a lot more subtle. This one's one I could enjoy. So the
Okay.
Kentucky Fog, not so much.
Okay. So I had the opposite um, of what you experienced,
Uh-huh.
Chris, which is okay. We all have different tastes. That's what's so great, was that just because one of us likes it doesn't mean that everyone has to like it.
Yeah.
So here's what I wrote on my Untapped. So I understand where Chris is coming from, but this beer completely works for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the tea tones coming out and blending with the barrel spirits and dark malt flavors, rich, complex flavors, and thick mouth coating body. 4.5 cap rating. And this beer did work for me. Now, I definitely, when I first took my first sip, I was looking for what you were describing. So I was taking the sip. I'm like, okay, here it goes. Took the sip, and can I taste what Chris was tasting? And I definitely could taste exactly what you were tasting. And I'm like, okay, I can see that. But then, as the flavors settle in my mouth, I realize, yep, I can taste what Chris is tasting, and maybe he's getting turned off by that initial sensation. But as I was tasting the flavors, I can say, yeah, that's definitely the tea mixed. I could taste the mixture going on. And I was like, wow, this is really good. Then as it warmed up, it just became more smoother and less strong on the tea flavor. The tea flavor kind of blended in, but you could definitely taste the two different. Like there was definitely Earl Grey and black tea both in there. You can taste the transition between those two teas, and then going into those spirits, and then going and then just mixing in with that imperial stout, and I loved it. I mean, I really enjoyed it. So I was like, oh, thank you that I didn't hate this beer, because I would have been very disappointed if I would have paid that amount of money and not enjoyed it. But I did enjoy it.
Yeah. And it was one of those beers, and I was definitely able to go ahead and separate each individual flavor out of that beer, but drinking it and kind of processing it collectively, just couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could definitely, again, taste the tea. I could taste the honey. I could taste the barrel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Putting them all together just didn't do it for me.
Yeah. That's okay. Well, it's okay. So everyone has different tastes, and it sounds like it's definitely polarizing. You either like it or you don't, and that's it. All right. Well, let's go on to a beer that I loved, and I think you would love too. And this is from a brewery that I had never heard of before. Again, picked this up at Bottles, recommended by Mara from the Bottles beer and wine store. And let me figure out where this is from. This is from Imagination Brewing out of Missoula, Montana. Here's another Montana brewery I had never heard of, but I thoroughly love their beer. I picked up about 6 different beers of theirs, and every one has been really fantastic.
Good.
This beer is called Frontlines, and it's a triple New England IPA. I say smooth, 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 incredible aroma and flavor. These Galaxy hops and Mosaic Cryo pop. Even the Idaho 7 hops, which I'm not a big fan of Idaho 7, but even the Idaho 7 work to give the beer a unique and complex flavor that makes this beer special. Yeah, I love it, and it's getting a 5 cap rating.
Nice.
And I gave it a 5 cap rating. This day and age, where a lot of these hazy IPAs all are like similar to one another, when you find these beers that go out of their way to be different, it's just special. And this Frontlines beer is special, and this brewery is going to be known. I'd never heard of them, but man, they're going to be known because they're making some great beers, not only hazies but other styles too. Really enjoyed that. And then one last beer. I'm finally there. It's also this one's from another brewery that I had never heard of, or maybe I heard of, but I hadn't had any beers from them. And I asked Mara, I said, I've never had a varietal beer. Which one of these varietals would you recommend if I never had one that I should have? And she recommended this beer, and I'll tell you what, she wasn't wrong. This is a great beer. So this one's called Trail of Stars. It's an American IPA, not a hazy or anything. It's a regular American IPA. Again, from Varietal Beer Company. And Varietal is out of Sunnyside, Washington. And here's what I said. I said, wow, this IPA has some great hop flavors with a grapefruit hop bitterness that all work well together. I think this is my first varietal beer, and I picked a great one. Thanks to Mara from Bottles in Spokane. So just a great IPA, not a hazy IPA, not any special kind of IPA, just an IPA that has unique flavors that just, kind of make you feel happy and enjoy those flavors. And I gave this one a 4.5 cap rating. So that's where I'm ending. Now, like I said, I had 30 beers that I could probably talk about, but I picked these to talk about which worked out because we need a little extra content. Now we're up to an hour and a half show. So now, Chris, if you have more beers to talk about, we can talk about it. If not, we can just roll into checking out if you want.
Yeah,
But
that was pretty much
that was it.
the peanut butter barrel aged Norwal was the big thing I was excited about. And it's as far as my other beers go, it's either been repeats or the one Hunapu that I already talked about.
Did you have that peanut butter cup beer, or that's one's coming?
No, it's coming.
It's coming. Okay.
Yeah, but I won't see that until the end of February,
Okay.
if not the beginning of March.
I'm drinking out of the bottle. I don't want to mix the IPA with the lager.
A Paulaner or a Paulaner or depends on who you talk to, I guess.
Paulaner.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Paulaner.
Now I don't even remember what he said. Paulaner. Sorry, I call it Paulaner. I'm always going to call it Paulaner. It's American, right? It's a German beer, but
I was going to say it's German. Isn't it?
Yeah, Paulaner, I guess is a proper way of saying it.
Sure, let's go.
Thanks,
with that.
Joel. We're forever cursed.
Yeah, we'll forget it forever.
Okay, so you ready to call it wraps?
I think I'm ready to call it wraps.
Okay, did we lose all of our listeners? Do we have anyone still watching?
Who's still here? 5 people. Who's still here? You guys want to give a cheers to anyone or raise a glass to anyone before we call it quits? Leave us a comment. We'll try to get that read before we close out of here.
Dang, I lost our feed. Sorry. I went to the Untapped and I totally lost the Facebook thing. So hopefully everyone's good.
I got you.
All right. So Chris, why don't you go ahead and start your shout out?
So I would love to raise a glass, guys. All of you folks that have been sticking by and hopping on these live feeds with us and commenting and interacting. This is so cool. This really is, just to have and chit chat about just beer and talk to you guys while we're doing the show. Oh, and Bill, to answer your question, one of my favorite Coppertail beers is their Hop Skull series. And Jeff says we're still here. Cheers, Denny and Chris. Great show. But Bill, my favorite beers from them are their Hop Skull series. I think they're up to number 12 or number 13. You can buy those in local stores normally, but if you can get them from the brewery, which is like 20 minutes from my house, if you want to come stop by and let me know.
I'll be there.
But yeah, so that's I want to give a shout out to all the listeners, guys. Thank you for interacting with us. Thanks for sticking it out with us on the show, especially in the beginning when we had all of our wonderful technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But guys,
behind
cheers.
the scenes.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers.
And Denny, while you take that sip, who would you like to raise a glass to?
All right. Well, before I knew Kurt was going to be watching the show, now he may be in bed now, but maybe
he
still
says
watching.
Fantastic job, tonight, guys.
Oh, he's
to
still
both
on.
of you. Oh, he's still there. Kirk is right there with us.
Well, Kirk, thank you for sticking out with us through the whole thing. My first toast goes to our Patreon toast is to Kirk, because he just joined Patreon, and I've given toast to everyone else, so it was time to do Kurt on the first show that he's supported. So cheers to you, Kurt. We appreciate it. And then, of course, I've already mentioned her a number of times, Mara from Bottles Beer and Wine in Spokane, Washington, the Millward area. She was fantastic. Thank you. If you're listening, Mara, thank you for your support and opening up the store early so we can come in and buy beer. And I was not disappointed. All the beers that I picked up at your store, fantastic. I really, really enjoyed them. And of course, wait, does anyone else want to give a shout out online before I go?
So Bill said I will be getting that beer. I'll be getting that Guinness you were talking about, and the food is good at Coppertail as well. I will have to meet you there. Yep. So there's been a transition in the last year or two, Bill, as far as the food goes. There used to be a restaurant in there called Stein and Vine, which is 2 minutes from my house if you want to go there. The food is good at Coppertail as well. Have to meet you there. Anytime you're ready, man. I just need a good couple of days notice to make sure I can adjust my schedule.
He's got a clear schedule. I already know about that schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. That one was not as difficult as I expected. So
okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then also because I am a former serviceman, I always want to raise my glass or my bottle to all those who have served or who are currently serving in the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. Thank you for your service, and please return home safely to your families very soon. And also, just a note, and Chris and I haven't talked about this, but I don't know if I'm gonna replace the next episode with a special episode that I'm gonna be doing with a fellow submariner, or if Chris and I are gonna have our normal show and I'll just have a special episode. But I will be recording a show with a fellow submariner, not the one I served with, but when it came after I left the Navy. But we're brothers. Doesn't matter when we served on submarines, we're still brothers, and we will always be brothers because only we know what we went through. And so it's going to be a special show. It's to talk about beer, his home brewing, his podcast, which is Radio is Lame. And I'm looking forward to having Johnny Casino join me. And I asked that, I want to just be Johnny and I because I didn't want Chris to be bored, and I knew it was going to be a lot of conversation that we could relate to. So, so I might give Chris a break for our next episode, but maybe not. Maybe we'll have a bonus episode right in between the two episodes. Chris and I will talk after the show and work out the details, but keep that in mind. All right, Chris, how about you give a shout? Wait, before we give a shout out to our sponsor, did Mike get his certificate? Do we know?
Apparently, there's some technical difficulty.
There's a technical difficulty? Okay.
I've been assured that it was sent, so it's in the works.
All right. Well, go ahead and give our sponsor shout out.
All right. At the forefront of the craft beer movement, Brewer Shirts was one of the first to create apparel that celebrates the art of brewing and the love of fine beer. Never too trendy, always comfortable, and offering affordable quality, they screen print their gear by hand in their studio using eco-friendly inks, materials, and processes. Visit their online store at brewershirts.com and use the coupon code TAPTHECRAFT2020 to receive 15% off full-priced items.
All right. And you can find the beers and, of course, those links to the articles I mentioned in the show notes, located on the show post at tapthecraft.com. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at Loose Screw. And Chris, how can our listeners follow you?
So you can find me on Twitter at Chris_McKenzie82 or Untapped and Instagram at MCK1345. And of course, guys, you can always interact with us on our anything social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff at Tap the Craft.
All right. It is last call. It's time to bring the show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and listening to the show. We ask you to please tell a friend. And of course, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, Google Play, CastBox, Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, also Pandora, and Amazon Podcast, or however you listen to your podcast. And as a reminder, we release a new show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.